have an important guest here today. We have with us today Mr. Josh Bullard. And Josh is the oldest son of Ralph Bullard. Ralph has been with us many times. Josh currently is the headmaster of what I believe is the finest school in the state of Oklahoma, and that's Christian Heritage Academy. Finest because of a variety of reasons. They prepare our children academically, spiritually, morally, and with patriotism in their hearts and minds. They work at that. They use the principled approach to education, which, if I understand that correctly, it's an understanding that God's Word addresses every single issue that we'll ever face. And once you learn God's principles, you can apply those principles to every issue in your life, and it'll make you an overcomer if you'll do that. And they develop character into their kids. That's why it's such a great school. And if you want to understand the academic performance, in the year of 2000 to 2010, in that decade, CHA and a school that came out of that group, Covenant Christian Schools in Yukon, between those two schools, 3 times in that decade, their students scored second in the state on the ACT test. The only one beating them is that elitist school, that residence school, School of Science and Math, whatever it is over there, that we spend about $50,000 a year on each kid. That's in that. That's where we get the little future minces, and we bring them there, and we educate them and indoctrinate them and such as that. And believe me, we indoctrinate them there too, because they're to be the future leaders. But I want to tell you, the future leaders that we can have hope in are the students that come out of CHA. Please welcome Mr. Josh Bullard, headmaster of the finest school in Oklahoma. Thank you, Josh.
I was going to do a brief commercial for Christian Heritage Academy, but I don't need to do that now. Thank you, Charlie. Our vision at Christian Heritage Academy is to train American Christian leaders for every sphere of society. And when we say every sphere of society, we mean the home first, the church second, and then business, education, government, media, arts, and entertainment. And we are actively producing what we call American Christian leaders, leaders who influence others, Christian leaders who do that for and toward the Lord Jesus Christ out of an understanding of Scripture. And then by American, we don't mean an elitist Americanism, but we mean somebody that understands the principles upon which our nation was founded, which are biblical principles, and for the purpose for which we believe it was founded, and that is to be a great gospel-sharing nation. So we are actively training American Christian leaders at Christian Heritage Academy. So that's who we are, that's what we do, and we're grateful. As a matter of fact, the reason John Missioner is not here right now, but John is at Christian Heritage Academy teaching our senior philosophy class. It's our biblical worldview class. We have him come a couple of times every year. So pardon me? Yeah, he's making the big bucks. Exactly, yeah. So John is at CHA right now teaching. We switched places today. So I'm thankful to have this opportunity to be here today. In light of what Charlie said, there is, I believe, an appropriate interest and even push, and even legislative push toward school choice in Oklahoma. The idea being that parents who would rather not have their children in the public school system for a variety of reasons, and for likewise a variety of reasons are not able to homeschool their children, which at Christian Heritage Academy we say that the best option is homeschool. That if you can homeschool. Children need to be around their parents. Now, not everybody can do that, though. So we believe the second best option is to have them in a private Christian school, and then if not, then you have to do something else. I hesitate to say that the next best option is public school. That's just really difficult because of some things that are happening there to children. So there is a significant push in Oklahoma for school choice. There are currently 2 avenues for school choice in Oklahoma. One is the Nicole Henry Special Needs Scholarship for children with special needs. It's a voucher program. I won't explain that. And that's actually been expanded to include all foster children that are in the DHS foster system. So if a family has a foster child and would like to have that foster child in a non-public school, that's how they say it, a non-public school, then they can apply for the Nicole Henry Scholarship Voucher Program and have help paying their foster child. That's just new this year. John Eccles was instrumental in passing that, I think, writing and passing that legislation. We mention John Eccles is one of our alumni. I just texted him on the way here, actually. So he authored, I know he pushed that legislation. The other school choice opportunity that we have in the state of Oklahoma is the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. So I'd like to tell you about that, and just so you'll know, and then so you can spread the word to others as well. So that's my topic that John asked me to share today. So I'll tell you a story about how I became involved with it, how I found out about it. It was in 2011. David Bond, another one of our graduates, he works at the OCPA, the Oklahoma Council for Public Affairs. David called me and said, Mr. Bullard, there was legislation passed recently that you need to know about. I said, great. So he said, can I come talk to you? He said, great, David, come on. So David came over to school. We sat in my office, and David told me about the Oklahoma Equal Opportunity Education Scholarship Act. So I said, okay, so explain this to me, David. So what he said, what the law does, it sets up it's called a scholarship granting organization. And what that is, it's a 501c3, an independent organization that can receive donations and then disperse those to schools, and I'll explain it. Okay, so David told me all about it. Here's how it works, all right? The scholarship granting organization, individuals and businesses actually, can make a donation to this scholarship granting organization. And what the law did, that Oklahoma Equal Opportunity Act in 2011, that law allowed for these organizations, these SGOs they call them, allowed for these organizations to be established. There weren't any established at the time in 2011, but the law made this available, made it possible. And again, the way it works. So you and me, a business, an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC can make a donation to this scholarship granting organization, its own independent 501c3. And then they can designate that gift, their gift, to the non-public school of their choice. Christian Heritage Academy, or I don't know the number. I have a list, and I have a packet of information for you, which I'll refer to, and I'll show you everything that's in this packet. But in this packet is a list of all of the non-public schools who are a part of this organization. Okay, so you can say, hey, I want to give a gift to this scholarship granting organization, and I want to designate it to Christian Heritage Academy, or the school of your choice. Then what happens is that money stays at that SGO, and then a family who would like to have their child in a non-public school, they can come and they apply to the school, so they come to Christian Heritage Academy. We would like to have our child at Christian Heritage Academy. We can't afford the tuition here at CHA. We say, well, we have a scholarship program. You can apply for a tuition scholarship. If they qualify, both by law and by every school gets to establish their own scholarship guidelines and standards, okay? And at Christian Heritage Academy we do that. We have our own process. We do a great job of that. They can apply for a scholarship. If they are awarded a scholarship by the school of their choice, in this case, Christian Heritage Academy. I'm not promoting CHA, please, but that's who I'm associated with, so I'll keep using us as an example. Lots of other very, very good schools in Oklahoma City area and around the state, actually. So if they qualify, then what happens is that family receives a check from the SGO. That check is made out to that family and to the school, and it's actually mailed to the school because we don't want them to take that check and buy something else with it, all right? So we get the check. We call the family, say, hey, we've received your scholarship check from the scholarship granting organization. If you'll come to school and sign it, they sign the check, and we apply that scholarship to their tuition account. And again, those dollars came from individuals or businesses, all right, to the scholarship granting organization, to the family. So the reason we got into this, and I asked a lot of questions before we did, and our Board of Trustees did a lot of research, we don't want any ties to state or federal money. Christian Heritage Academy takes no state or federal money, all right? And we don't want any strings attached. We don't be told what we can and can't do, and who we have to hire and not hire, and who we have to allow in school and not allow in school, what textbooks we have to use and not use. We don't take state and federal money. But this is not. It's independent citizens giving to an independent 501c3, no tie to the state, 2 families, so the money does not go through the state. So our Board of Trustees, were very comfortable with that, and we decided to do this. Now, I asked David, I said, David, so what do we do? He said, there's nothing you can do. I said, David, you came over here and told me about this, and he said, Mr. Bullard, he said, what has to happen is there has to be these organizations set up. I said, okay, so is anybody doing that? He said, well, not right now. He said, the law just passed, August 2011. I said, okay. He said, I'll stay in touch. What happened is in 2011, the Protestant Christian schools aren't nearly as well organized as the Catholic schools are. The 2 archdioceses in Tulsa and Oklahoma City, the Catholic schools, and there are several good schools here in the city and in Tulsa, they formed their own scholarship granting organization. So there's one there's just one Catholic SGO, okay? They established that. So they started receiving gifts, okay? And those people could designate those to Mount St. Mary's, whom we play in athletics, and other Catholic schools around the state. So they got on the ball pretty quickly. We, Protestant Christian schools, not quite so much. Nobody did anything, actually. It was in 2014 that David called me again. He said, Mr. Bullard, you remember that deal I talked about a few years ago? I said, yeah, anything happened? He says, matter of fact, it is. The OCPA saw that nothing was happening. They said, okay, this is too good of an opportunity for private Christian schools to not be taking advantage of. So what they did, the OCPA, they applied for a grant from the Walton Foundation, Walmart. So they got a grant from the Walton Foundation to set up an SGO and to pay the executive director's salary for a year. So Walmart kicked in and said, okay, we'll pay for this to be done. So the OCPA then established what is now called, in 2014, the Opportunity Scholarship Fund, the OSF. Okay? I've got all this in your packet. So, the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. So this was in August of 2014 that David told me this. I said, so, okay, now what do we do, David? He said, okay, now you can tell people about this, and people can write a check to the OSF, not Christian Heritage Academy. Write a check to the OSF, designated for your school, and then they contact you. They say, hey, we just received X dollars in gifts for your scholarship fund. And then we get to disperse those scholarships as we deem necessary, or as parents qualify based on their financial need. Ours are always based on financial need, okay? No athletics, no academics, no financial need, okay? And by law, that's what it has to be, okay? It's tuition scholarships based on need. So that's how the system is set up, and that's what the Opportunity Scholarship Fund is. And it's relatively new. Started in August of 2014. So let me show you what the impact has been for Christian Heritage Academy. Okay? In 2014-15, we just had a few months between August and December to get the word out and receive gifts. And so in that first year, we received $10,000 gifts, and we had 31 students on partial, not complete. We have a cap. We think people should have skin in the game. We don't do 100% scholarships. It's significantly lower than that. Then the next year, in 15-16, we received $160,000 in donations and scholarshiped 50 students. In 16-17, last school year, we received $288,000 and scholarshiped 83 students. Now, mind you, these are students who would not otherwise be able to come to Christian Heritage Academy. Their families, based on their application, they submit their previous year tax form, all of their debt. We know if they have car debt and mortgage, and we evaluate their finances and say, okay, yes, you need it. And sometimes it's like, no, you don't need a scholarship. You need to sell one of your cars. Okay, we don't say that to them. Okay, but we don't finance financial mismanagement. Okay. We're very careful if we can determine that it's a true need based on their income and their family, etc. So that's 83 children that mom and dad couldn't send them to Christian Heritage Academy without some scholarship help. And then this year, in 17-18, It was the same dollar amount, $288,000, and we have 90 students currently on OSF scholarships at Christian Heritage Academy. So what it does for the school, we get to have children at school that would otherwise not be able to come to our school. It allows parents to get their child out of the school, their neighborhood school that they're in, that they would really rather not have them in, and have a Christian education as described by Charlie at CHA. It also, so it helps us get kids we wouldn't be able to get. It helps the parents by putting their children where they would not be able to put them, apart from scholarships. So for Christian Heritage Academy and for the families, it's a win. And I'm going to do 4 wins here, okay? Win for the school, win for the family. It's a win, 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 win. All right? As I spoke yesterday at a luncheon at school, I had one of our financial advisors. He said, I can't figure out yet who loses. I said, I can't either. Okay, so we got 2 wins so far. With me? All right. The next win, probably get a little pushback from this crowd. Okay, I anticipate this. You'll see what I mean. Okay? Because the donor gets a tax credit. Any pushback? It's like, whoa, wait a second, okay? You get a tax credit. Yeah, let me tell you about that. I'll try to be brief here. For an individual filing individually, that individual can make a donation to the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. If he or she makes a 1-year, just makes a gift, a 1-year gift, okay, then on that year's tax return, they get a 50% of their gift, Oklahoma State income tax credit, okay? You all understand taxes and tax credits. So if I give a $1,000 gift to the OSF and I file individually, I get a $500 tax credit. That's not a deduction, okay? That's not a reduction in taxable income. That's a tax credit. All right, goes straight off my Oklahoma income tax liability. There's a $1,000 tax credit limit for an individual, which means you can give $2,000 and you get a $1,000 state income tax credit. You also, that $2,000 gift also is a charitable donation, so it reduces your charitable income. So you get the standard state reduction, 8.375 state income tax. You get it's a state deduction and a federal deduction. So depending upon your tax bracket, you get a 15 or a 25 or a 40% decrease as well. So it's a state income tax credit, federal tax deduction, and a state tax deduction. All right? Very interesting. For a family filing jointly, the tax credit limit is $2,000. So me and my wife, we give a gift to the OSF designated for Christian Heritage Academy. We, Janelle and I, and I'll show you in just a second, we get a $2,000 tax credit, and that's the cap. Okay? For a business, LLC, C Corp, S Corp, the cap is a $100,000 tax credit. A business can give a gift to the OSF and get up to $100,000 state income tax reduction. Now, your profit has to be really, really high to have a $100,000 state income tax liability. Okay? Pardon me?
You can't sell them like other businesses?
Cannot sell them. No. You cannot sell these tax credits. Okay? All right. All right? So that's what it does for the donor. Okay, so let me give you an example, 2 examples actually of that. This is me. This is last year. You look online. I tell people, well, I'll get there in a second. Look online too of your Oklahoma Income Tax Form 511, and Janelle and I last year owed $2,186 in state income tax. Okay, and then I said, okay, wait. I don't have a choice. I can't call the OTC, the Oklahoma Tax Commission, and say, I really don't want to pay those taxes this year. Okay, I don't like some of the things that my taxes go to, so I don't do that. I don't have a choice. I'm going to pay $2,186 in state income tax. Okay, but I do have a choice if I use the Opportunity Scholarship Fund. So I didn't mention this. Sorry. If you give a one-time gift, it's a 50% tax credit. Okay. If you make a 2-year commitment saying, I will give this year and I will give next year, you get a 75% tax credit, which is the highest in the state of Oklahoma. The only one that's close is the OMRF, Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, down on Lincoln. They have a 50% tax credit. All right? This, if you make a 2-year commitment, is a 75% tax credit. All right? There's not another one in the state of Oklahoma. All right? It's like, Oh, okay. Well, that changes the numbers a bit. Matter of fact, if you look at your taxes, talk to your financial advisor, your accountant, your tax credits can actually exceed your gift. You can get more tax credits than your gift you give. Okay? And it's like, okay, you have to think about that one for a second. Janelle and I, we gave a $2,667 gift. Why that number? That's the magic number. 75% of that number is $2,000. I wanted to maximize my benefit. So we tell people, if you're married filing jointly, give a $2,667 gift. 75% of that is $2,000. Are you with me? Okay. If you're going to give a one-time gift, then $4,000 is your magic number, because half of $4,000 is the $2,000 tax credit, and you want to maximize that tax credit. Okay. So for Janelle and me, we got a $2,000 Oklahoma tax credit. This is really what we did last year, because of me, and because I'm one of those low-paid teachers that Charlie was talking about. And I'm being completely facetious. That's not the case. I am a teacher, administrator actually now, and I have lots of kids. My father has 10 kids, and I have 10 kids as well. So because of my income and my number of deductions, we don't pay federal income tax. I'm in the zero tax bracket, okay, federal. So that did not save me any federal tax money, because I don't pay any federal taxes. I will eventually when my kids keep leaving home, but not yet, okay? And then I got a tax deduction, because that number right there, I owed that much money. This reduced my taxable income by $2,667, so I saved $133 via the tax deduction, the reduction in taxable income. All right. So what that means is, Janelle and I gave a gift of $2,667 to the Opportunity Scholarship Fund, and it cost me $534. And I don't really have $2,667 to give like that. We're not in that situation, okay? But Janelle and I looked at each other and we said, we do have $500. For $500, we can give $2,667 that some family is going to get for their child to attend Christian Heritage Academy. We can do that. So we did. All right? So it's a win for the donor, okay? That's for an individual. 2 years ago, we had a business, well, actually one of our graduates have a successful business. They came to one of our meetings where we were explaining this to them 2 years ago. They brought their financial controller, and they just looking at me like no. By the way, this was before there was a 2-year commitment. A 2-year commitment is new last year, so that there was just a 50% back then. That's why I put 1-year commitments. What this business did, okay, they went back and talked to their CPA with their financial controller, and what they called me later. They said, Mr. Bullard, we've finally done all of our analysis, and we're going to give Christian Heritage Academy a gift of $146,000. I said, wow, first of all, thank you. Not CHA. They're going to write a check to the OSF for $146,000, which we get to give out in scholarships. I said, wow, that's a game changer. That was the year we went from 160 to 288, okay? So I said, wow, thank you. I said, and they were on a conference call with the 2 business owners, our graduates, and their financial controller and their CPA were in the room, and they called me. It was over Christmas break, because it was right before the end of the year. We get about 2/3 of our gifts on December 31st. So they did. I said, if you don't mind, I said, can you tell me how much is that going to cost your business? The CPA laughed. I heard her laugh. She went, she said, it's going to cost us $4,000. Their tax savings was $142,000. And they said, we think we can afford $4,000. They're being completely facetious. Okay? Now, it worked that year for them, all right? The next year, they didn't do that. The next year, their check was much, much smaller. They actually called to apologize. I went, don't apologize for giving a gift, okay? They said, but hey, we invested back in our business. We bought some new equipment. Our business is growing. Our profit this year was down because of their reinvestment back in their business. So we don't owe the taxes that we did last year. So, see, there was not an advantage to them. They shouldn't give $146,000. It didn't help them, all right? So their gift was much smaller the next year, which was last year. But for businesses, they go, wait a second, I can redirect some of my tax dollars to the scholarships for children? Okay, I can do that. All right? So, okay, it's a win for the school. It's a win for the family. It's a win for the donor. All right? And then, so there's one more piece, though, and this is new. I will show it to you. Which, by the way, in your packet, I have a copy of the current state law. This was signed in May of 2017, so this is the current law. You can read it, because the two responses I get whenever there's a financial advisor or a CPA in the room, the two responses I get are, number one, here's what they do. They go, no, that's too good to be true. That's what they say. No, it's too good to be true. What's my response? I hand them the law, and they go, oh, it is true. Right, it is. CPAs don't even know about this. Okay, I have people come and say, my CPA's never heard of this. Well, we hear that all the time, okay? Because it had just started in 2014, so it's relatively new. Another piece I have in your packet that I'll give you is this. And I hope this will address if you have any current concerns about tax credits. And I think that's appropriate. Actually, the question is, how did it help the state of Oklahoma? We were in a meeting. We have these meetings periodically, and I had one yesterday, actually, explaining this to our patrons and our alumni and such. And one of the patrons, parent, we call them patrons, one of the parents in our school, she's a CPA. And she said, Mr. Bullard, while I don't like some of the things that our tax money goes to, I do drive on streets. And I do appreciate our fire department and our police. And she said, I'm an American, I'm an Oklahoman. I'm not an anti-tax person, although I do think that they're misappropriated, et cetera. And okay, but I have some problems. But still, I think I should pay my fair share, whatever that is. I said, yeah. She said, so I'm not really comfortable with taking my tax dollars and diverting them to all scholarships, because the state of Oklahoma needs our money. And she was being very genuine, and I appreciated that. And in many respects, I agree with her. I like driving on our roads, and okay, our taxes go to many, many good things. So what is this doing to the state of Oklahoma? Now, we all know that, we watch the news, we know the budget stuff. Okay, so we know that. So here, it's very interesting. A study that just came out this fall, I don't have the date on it. Sorry. The OSF was concerned about that too. So they commissioned two economic professors from OCU, Dr. Jacob Dearman, Director of Center for Data Analysis at OCU, and Dr. Russell Evans, the Director of the Economic Research and Policy Institute at OCU, the Minders School of Business. They did a study of and they called it the 2017 Fiscal Impact Study. And what they found was, and I put this in your packet so you can read it. I've read it. There's a lot of the stats that I don't understand, but I did read it. Their conclusion, was that for every dollar in tax credits given to the OSF, it saves Oklahoma's budget $1.24. Okay, no, wait a second. You're telling me that I can do this deal here, and I can take $2,000 that I would have given to the state in my tax money. I can take that $2,000 and give it over here to the scholarship fund, and that helps Oklahoma? If I'm not mistaken, they just lost $2,000, right? So how does this help? Think about it. The only children that get these scholarships are children who do what? Leave the public school. Public school children have a price tag on their head. It's part of the reason that people don't like them leaving. Okay? They have an $8,000 price tag on their head. It's about $8,100. Okay? The cost for the state of Oklahoma to educate that child. And when they leave the public school no longer gets those dollars. There's more than one reason they don't like kids leaving public schools. Okay? It's that $8,000 price tag on that kid's head. Okay? So the state goes, hey, that child leaves, we no longer have to pay them. By the way, $8,000, that's really not the right number, because that doesn't include the local taxes, property tax. It's more like $15,000, okay? CHA, it's about $8,000 to educate a child. State's about $15,000 if you add on the local money, which, by the way, drive by some schools, and I have a hard time feeling sorry for public schools. When they have these $15 million basketball arenas and these $15 million football, it's like, take some of that money and give to the teachers, okay? If they need it. So there's no shortage of money in public schools. They're just building really, really nice buildings and nice football fields and nice basketball arenas. And we travel all over the state. And there are Class 2A schools. And you walk in, it's like, these arenas are just unbelievable. And you just can't. And come to our gym. funded by tuition dollars, okay, and generous donors. Okay, we have a good school. We don't have that stuff, all right? Okay, so you hear me, right? So what happens is the child leaves the public school. The state no longer pays for that child. By law, the maximum amount of scholarship that this child can receive is 80% of the cost of the state cost of education. So that child cannot receive an $8,000 scholarship. The max is 80% of that number. So you see the state's saving money. Okay? Yes, dollars are being diverted from taxes to scholarships, but with that diversion, there's an exit of children, and every child that leaves is minus $8,000 for the state of Oklahoma. So for every dollar that's given that gets the child out of public school and into private, the state saves $1.24. So my win-win-win-win-win is it's good for the parent who would like the child out of the public schools. It's good for the Christian schools who would like to have those children and train them biblically. It's good for the donor because they get to divert some tax dollars to something worthwhile. And it's good for the state of Oklahoma because it saves the state of Oklahoma money. And then I said that yesterday, and one of our, Brian Tutt, said, I can't figure out who loses. I said, yeah, I don't know. I can't figure that out. Okay? So the two comments I get from financial controllers and CPAs. Number one is, this is too good to be true. You can't do this. Is the Oklahoma Tax Commission really going to let this happen? Yeah, they are. It really is true. The second one is, when they read the law, then the next comment is, well, this is a no-brainer. Why would you not do this? Okay, why would you not donate to the Opportunity Scholarship Fund? And the only reason I can think of is my dad. My dad did what? Here's what he did, okay? Here's what you can do, okay? What can you do? Look at your 2016 state income tax return and see if you paid Oklahoma state income tax. My dad did that, okay? My dad did what I said. Dad, go look at your state income tax return. He did. He paid $46 in state income tax. Okay, this is not a good deal for Dad. Although, he did write a $100 check because he didn't want that $46 to go to the state, okay? All right? So he wrote a $100 check. He wrote a $100 check and got a $50 tax credit, all right? And so his $50 went to the OSF. And it cost him $50 to do that. You understand that? He could have just said, I'm not doing anything and I'm paying my $50 tax. Fine. $46 actually, okay? But he said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to give $100. Cost him $54, but he wanted his $46 to go to, so he got to give a gift of $100 and it only cost him $54. You have to kind of think like that. It's not free. Now again, I have had people come back, and if they're in the higher tax bracket, they take the state income tax credit, the federal income tax deduction, the state income tax deduction. Their credits actually exceed their gift. Okay, it's very interesting. Okay, now, why would you not do it? You're giving a gift for nothing. Okay, it's really very, very interesting, and it actually works. So, number one, yes, sir. Question now.
Well, are you ready for Q&A?
Let me keep going, and then I'll take some Q&A. Okay, so look at your state income tax and see if you paid state income tax. If you did, consider this. Next, consider giving a gift to the OSF. Talk to your accountant. Don't trust me. I'm not an accountant. All right? And your accountant may not know about this. They may go, what? I've never heard this. Well, I say, I'm going to give you a packet, and you say, well, here's the law. Here's the state law. And here's what it says. And even it's line. Matter of fact, if you do like TurboTax, okay, one of those online tax deals, it has it there. It has Opportunity Scholarship Fund. I think it has SGO, and so it's in the tax forms, and the accountants don't even know that. Again, because it's new. All right. So what we tell people is take this to your accountant and have them tell people about this tax break. Take it to your financial advisor and tell them about this tax break. We need to spread the word so people can do this, all right, and help children, help families get out of the public schools and into the school of their choice. And then, that's it. That's number 3. Sorry, see, I get ahead of myself. Tell others about this. And businesses. Hello, John. Good to see you, sir. And you just tell them. Say, hey, if you pay state income tax, here's an opportunity you might want to consider. And it helps children. It helps these schools that these children will be going to. It helps you, the donor. You can redirect some of your tax dollars. And it even helps the state of Oklahoma's budget. That's really a neat deal, okay?